Paige Poppe. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for being here. Today's video is going to be a tour of one of my sketchbooks. I am an artist and my favorite medium to work with is watercolor for the past almost a year. I just love it. And I thought I would give you a tour of this sketchbook. If you follow me on Periscope, you're familiar with this sketchbook. I'll give you a little bit of background. This sketchbook was my sketchbook while I was living in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I started filling it up, but I didn't fill up the whole thing, so I had the leftover sketchbook. And when I got super into the Periscope app this summer, it's an app where you can live broadcast whatever you're doing. I wanted to have a sketchbook where I could paint in it while I broadcast. And when I do commissioned paintings, I'm really focused and concentrated, and I'm not talking the whole time, so I needed a place where I could do sketches that were just for fun and to share with you guys what I'm working on. So that is how the Periscope sketchbook came to be. I actually just did a live broadcast of it before this video, and I was showing you guys the entire contents because it's almost full except for just 2 blank pages in the back. So I will be doing these live on Periscope. I will put my username here. It's just Paige_Poppe. So if you add me, you might be able to catch those live while I paint them. And then once the sketchbook is full, I need to make prints of a few of these paintings in here, but I will also consider selling the whole sketchbook to a collector. So that will be really fun, but I thought I would give you guys the whole tour so you can see what's inside. So this is just a Moleskine sketchbook. If you are curious, it is watercolor paper. I wouldn't recommend watercoloring on Moleskine paper that isn't watercolor paper because it won't take your paint very well. So it's a nice one. So it is leather. It has a nice elastic band, as you can see, to close it up, and I believe it's the large size. To give you some reference of the size, there's my iPhone, so you can see how big it is. And we'll jump right in. The first paintings I will show you are from my travels in Copenhagen. So they are not from Periscope, but I figured you guys would be interested in them anyway. So first we have this watercolor, which was April 15th of, oh my gosh, what year was that? 2014, and this was my favorite spot to hang out in Copenhagen. Watercolor really was important to me once it started getting warmer because I could spend more time outside and just enjoy the weather in Copenhagen and paint. It had been such a cold winter, so I created this. This was on Dronning Louise's Bro, which is Hipster Bridge in Copenhagen. That's what it's nicknamed, and there are these man-made lakes here, and then it faces Nørrebro, which is the neighborhood that was my favorite place to hang out. So it was a really cool spot on the grassy hill here to look at the landscape. This is one drawing I have in here that is not watercolor, obviously. It's an illustration. This was looking at the square, which is called Amato, and it was a view from a second or third story window where hay house is. If you guys are familiar at all with these little hay trays, this is their logo. Also, if you're familiar with this company, their design house is in Copenhagen and faces this square here on this busy shopping street. So that's where I did this sketch. I actually took a picture and did the sketch later just because I didn't want to sketch in the facility, but this is what it looks like, and kind of has these signature Copenhagen rooftops and everything. So that was a fun illustration. The next one I have from Copenhagen is this one, which is looking toward Grundtvigskirke, and it is in the Bispebjerg Kirkegård. So this is a church, Grundtvig's church, very famous Danish philosopher and influencer, and this is another building next to it. And then I was hanging out in the Kirkegård, which is the cemetery, which I know sounds creepy, but in Copenhagen there's a limited amount of green space, so they use the cemeteries as parks. So I kind of hung out there. It was the morning of April 16th. I remember it was really close to Easter, and I rode my bike there after work, and I ate some marzipan Easter eggs, and I just painted, and it was a really lovely day. I will actually link in the description box. I created a video that day that was kind of an outfit of the day video, but you can see the view, and you can see my bike, and I'm live painting this in the grass. So it's actually kind of a charming little video that reminds me of my time there. So I will link that in the description below. I always go quickly over this painting. It's not my favorite. The perspective is off, so I don't really love it, but this is Copenhagen University, and it was on a street that I passed all the time because it was right by my school in Copenhagen, and it was at Fruplads, and it was across the street from my favorite cafe, which was Paludan, which is a book cafe, and this was a fun painting. I actually painted this while it was raining, like lightly. Not enough that it like ruined my painting or anything, but it was a cold day and I think I was kind of rushing through it, so that's why the perspective is off. But when I show it on Periscope, people seem to like it, so that's okay. The next spread I have here is 2 views of Copenhagen's harbor. I was looking at the harbor in both directions, so in this way it was more shaded and I was able to capture all of the color. And there is the Royal Library, the whole harbor front. This is a bridge that connects over the water, and then in this direction it was a lot more sunny, so the colors are more muted and faded because I was like squinting into the sun and I couldn't really capture the colors as well, which I think is actually really cool to do these two side by side. The next painting in here is a detail of some rings down by the harbor. This one and these ones were an assignment that I did with my watercolor class while I was studying in Copenhagen, so everyone has this sketch in their sketchbook, but it was a fun little challenge. Over here we have a perspective study, which isn't super thrilling or anything, but I do really love this painting. So this painting is of the alleyway or like street right behind where my watercolor class was held. It was held in this doorway over here. An awesome view because you get the Danish flags, that's very cute, and you get the different heights of buildings. This is the round tower. As you can see, my perspective was so tall I had to go on the other page, but the round tower is a historic tower that Christian IV used to ride his chariot up inside because there's a ramp inside. This is kind of turning into a Danish history lesson, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. But then when you get to the top of this, you have the most amazing view of the whole city, so that's really fun. And like my favorite place in Copenhagen, so I love that. Here we have another perspective study. Not very interesting. And then I do not remember the name of this building, but it was another study of like shadow and light on the facade of the stonework. Now we're moving into a couple abstract flowers I did just for fun. This is really before I knew how to paint flowers or plants at all, and you can see it kind of looks like mosaic tiles or something. It's not really amazing, but I have that and I have this one, and then I wrote a Danish poem over here for my Danish class, so I have that too. We can kind of go briefly through these pages. This was a sketch I did as a study for another watercolor class, my thesis year, and this was my thesis project, so I was doing some simple studies here of like analysis, abstraction, and whatnot. Now we're getting into some of my later work. These paintings, these two, I created while I was still living in California in like June of this year, and I was playing with swatches and, you know, writing on my paintings and overlaying with, you know, just like more shapes and not too much detail work. I actually really love this piece. And then I also have this one, and I actually quite am fond of this one. I have some pictures of these that I will share on social media because I kind of just keep pictures around and I share them when I want to, so yeah. This says an unknown place in the middle of the Southwest, which is a phrase that I write a lot on my paintings. I really love it, so that's fun. June 3rd, 2015. And then I'm not really fond of these two pages, but I went to Mission Beach with my friends and I closed my sketchbook prematurely, which is why you see all these black smudges, but it was kind of just a fun one. I did like a little illustration page of kind of some of our memories from the trip, so that was fun, but it kind of got all messy. And then the last painting I have before we get into the Periscope paintings is this one, which is of the Painted Ladies in San Francisco. And when I went to San Francisco in July or like the end of June with Asia, I painted this and I photographed it, and then I painted it while we were in Starbucks, like hanging out. So that was a fun little weekend, and this ended up inspiring a larger painting that I did that I will have to share with you guys in the future. So yeah, now we can get into the Periscope paintings. Like I said, I made all these while I was on the app, and I'll tell little stories about each one. So This was like the first thing I ever did on Periscope, like one of the first, when I first got into the app. It was like really a big thing this summer. It's still a big thing, but it was like so new to everyone. It was really exciting. And I wanted to do a cacti, and since I was interacting with people live, I asked them to chime in and give me color ideas. So this isn't normally a palette I would use, but it was a fun challenge, and I kind of created something new, so that was fun. The next one I have is this one. This was the color palette that I was obsessed with over the summer. If you go look at my Instagram, like now you can see that I've really kind of switched color palettes now that it's fall. But that was quite a fun one. And I did these like warm poppies with a cow skull, so that was cute. This is one of a willow tree that I did, which is kind of unexpected for me. It's not something I would normally paint, but sometimes when I go on Periscope, I will take suggestions of what to paint, and I actually really like it. You can see a lot of the detail work with the pencil here too, which was kind of fun. Okay, and the next one is a moon painting with poppies, and I really liked this one. When I painted this, someone told me, my friend Michelle actually, she told me that poppy actually means moonflower in German, or like it translates that way, which I thought was really special because I love poppies. It's my last name, of course, and I'm also German, so I was like, oh, that's so perfect. And I actually was inspired to create a larger piece, so I will actually open my portfolio of paintings here to show you guys. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. This is the larger moon piece that I painted, so that's pretty fun. I've had a couple of these like big originals hanging out in here for a while. This one was on my website. Actually, I've never put this one on my website, so I'll probably be bringing this to like local events and stuff to see if someone would like to collect it. And then this is kind of a similar one. This is one I really decided what I liked to do to embellish my paintings, so kind of some signature little markings, and cacti, moon, poppy, just having fun with those, some little icons. It's always kind of fun to do those. And now we're moving on to a painting I created after I spent a day in Sedona with my friends. Here we have the red rocks in Sedona. They're really gorgeous. Of course, I kind of tweaked the colors a little bit, and I added like some bright oranges and grays and hot pinks. If you ever look up a picture of Sedona, if you're not familiar with it, the rocks are like a gorgeous like clay red color, but I really had fun with this one. I would love to turn this one into a print actually, because I'm really fond of it as a painting. I have another horizontal piece here. When I painted this on Periscope, I kind of let everyone suggest what they wanted to see. I'll take suggestions, and someone said, oh, I wanted to see an abstract desert scene. So that's what we did, and then I ended up drawing a sunflower on top of it, and I'm reaching here for my zine because this painting actually made it into my zine, which is called Flora and Fauna. You can see it right here. And here is the painting in the zine, and we did it on a 2-page spread, so that's really fun. And if you guys are interested at all, I actually have maybe like 4 or 5 of these remaining in my online shop, and I'm doing like a few huge Christmas markets over the next 2 months, so if you want one of these, now would be the time to pick it up because they will probably sell at those events, and then I won't be reprinting them. So yeah, there's that one. That was a fun one. Okay, another vertical one is this one. Once again, I like to play with swatches and tones and little sketch images. So this was kind of a saguaro landscape. That was a fun one. I also did this abstracted sunflower. I wanted to try working with sunflowers again, but do something more messy. Sometimes just depending on my mood, I'll be more refined or messy with my paintings. This one I'm really loving lately more than I used to. I actually did a shoot with my photographer friend Hannah Minkner of Mink Made Photography, and she got some really cool images of this sketchbook page, and she was like, you should really make this one into a print. And so she kind of encouraged me, and now I have a bunch of those images to share, and then I'll probably make this one into a print. So this was me doing swatches of all of little saguaros. Here's another horizontal one, another abstract desert scene. This is not my favorite. I don't think it's super refined or anything, but it was a fun use of color and kind of getting messy. Then I have these 2 paintings that are kind of similar, and they were more like neutral, pale washes of color, and they were of these like flowers with floating petals, and it says, if you follow your bliss, you will always have bliss, money or not, which also is a quote that ended up in my zine right here, so you can see it there. And then I also have that original painting is in my shop as well. But I really loved that quote after I looked it up. It's by Joseph Campbell, so it's in there. And this is kind of just like a new neutral little set that I did, which was fun. And this one says, so the flower-like dream arises. I don't know where I got that quote from, but it's really pretty. So this was kind of a change of pace to do something more subtle. Then I also wanted to experiment with macrame planters, which is why I did this one, and I kind of put a leaf side by side to make them relate to each other. So that was a cool little experiment, and it resulted in this painting, which was a trio of macrame planters in different colors. I really like this one. I've been wanting to make it into a print, but I want to make it into a larger print. So I think I'm going to probably do a larger scale painting of this before I make prints of it, but we will see. Just kind of a fun one. All of the little detail work in this one is fun as well. Here is one painting that I wanted to do like a little architectural study for, like a detail of a window. I ended up not loving this painting because the bricks are kind of too large and not super detailed, but once again, the purpose of a sketchbook is to be messy, so that's fun. This was another cat eye painting that ended up in the zine, and the reason it's so small on the page is that I wanted it to fit into the 4x6 size. So I will pull that one out as well. You can see it, where is it? You can see it right here in the zine next to this page, so they kind of relate to each other color-wise. So that was a fun one, and I kind of wanted to abstract like this large bloom with like a smaller cacti in the background. Now this is one painting that I did, and I didn't live broadcast it on Periscope because I did it while I was on vacation. My boyfriend Jake and I took a staycation at the Saguaro Hotel here in Scottsdale for our anniversary, or no, excuse me, for my birthday. And this is one of the really cool chairs they have there. I don't know if you can tell, but this is like a leather seat, and this was like wicker, kind of like woven. And then this is the color palette of the hotel, like the different doors, the textiles they have in the rooms. Like there's a like Aztec throw that they had on the bed, kind of like, well, Aztec, you know, but this is the color scheme of that. So that was kind of a fun little piece I did for that. Next I have another abstract desert landscape. Not my favorite because I kind of smudged it and it got messy, but a nice little study. And I've noticed sometimes the ones that I don't love, people love, so it's kind of interesting to see what people's favorites are. And we're getting down to the end here. This is one of the other ones that I created at a smaller scale so that it could be in the zine, and it's one of the last pages in the zine here, so you can see it, and it is next to this quote that says, "Art is the set of wings to carry you out of your own entanglement." So that was a fun one, and looks cute. I like the color. I kind of went with like a refined color palette. It's kind of like narrowed it down to 2 colors. And then lastly, kind of funny that we end on this page because this is not my favorite painting ever. I'm not really great at drawing people. It's something I was practicing for a while and I kind of got out of habit, but I wanted to do this girl like standing in a desert landscape, and she's wearing a Format t-shirt, which is my favorite band, so it was kind of fun, but it's kind of ironic that that's the last page in the sketchbook. So that is all of the paintings in here. Like I said, there's 2 more pages that I will be broadcasting live on Periscope when I paint them. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that little tour. If you have any questions about anything, please leave them down in a comment. I'm always active answering your guys' comments, and I love to hear from you. And I also will link this sketchbook in the description box if you're interested in checking it out. I will link the video I mentioned of my Copenhagen painting session, and I will link my watercolor supplies video if you guys are curious about what supplies I use, and if you want to start your own watercolor paintings, those are my recommendations. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, I would love if you subscribe to my channel. I make videos every week, if not more often. And yeah, I'd love to have you at my channel. If you want to find out more about me, you can go to paigepoppe.com, and there's also a link in the description box where you can download a free printable painting that I created to inspire you guys. So enjoy all of that. I am sending you all the positive and creative vibes your way, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! So the largest brush that I have for watercolor is a size 10, which is a pretty standard, like, all-around size. Like, if you're gonna pick one brush, that's what I would buy. And you really only need one brush, but once you start going bigger, you're gonna want something, obviously, that you can lay on the page and get a larger stroke with.